So on that note, Praveen, I'll have to ask you to turn on your video, and we want to sort of put a.
Sorry, is my video not visible? It's on actually.
Yeah, no, it's not visible.
Let me rejoin then. Sorry.
Okay, so we'll wait for a minute for that to happen. This is Jacqueline. Just accept Praveen once he just joins in.
Sure.
But while that is there, how was this today? Like being on a Wednesday, I'm assuming 7 p.m. Many people ask me, can we do this earlier so that a lot of my people in Wednesday workshops we try, but to be honest, we have to do it this time because when even experts need to get time out of their work to sort of take out to teach. But on that note, let's see. Yes, Praveen's back. Perfect. So we just put our hands, our virtual clap for Praveen, and Praveen, welcome to Expert.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hi, good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. Okay. Hi, good evening, everyone. Praveen Dewani. I am an associate director leading revenue and growth charter for a couple of Myntra's portfolio. I've been with Myntra for around 4.5 years. Before leading this charter, I was working with the private brands portfolio. So kind of have worked on how do you evaluate what to bring into your private brands portfolio, identifying white spaces that are there in the platform, and then incorporating that into the private brands portfolio for Myntra. Before this, I was part of the founding team member for triplenow.com, which was the e-com portal which Arvind Brands had launched. So I was part of the founding team member for that. Yeah, so hope you have a good session here, gain insights from this, and it helps you grow your brands on marketplaces and your D2C.coms as well.
Great, Praveen. Yeah, so you can now get started. Yes.
Sure. I'll share my screen. Let me know when it's visible. Is it visible?
Yeah, perfect. You can see.
Cool. Okay. So this is what we'll be covering today. The agenda would be first identifying what are the white spaces in the markets and then in different marketplaces as well. Second, how do you validate whatever you've selected is whether it's valid or not. Third would be choosing the right channel for your product, whether it's your website, should be your website, or it should be the marketplaces, or a mix of both. In marketplaces, which marketplace. Then I would briefly cover how do you tackle with platform ads, and the last one would be how do you deal or how do you work out on GMV from a customer lens. This is something that we primarily focus when we are looking at demand side. You would have worked on different equations for GMV. I think this would be fairly new because usually people don't cover it from a customer lens. Okay. Yeah. So we'll start with identifying white spaces, right? So when you are so there would be two cases, right? Either you have a product already in place, or you have some product line and you are exploring to look at new product line, right? So first, I'll list down these factors and then we can discuss or are there any questions, we can take that up. First, what you have to look at, what is the current market offering in your product, right? And for the sake of simplicity, I'll take ethnic wear as an example. Okay, suppose you are a brand which manufactures or sells saris, right? So first you have to look at what is the current market offering, right? Is there space in the market to a new product which you are launching, right? Is the market crowded or is there still scope, right? You have to evaluate what all is there in the market, both online and offline, right? There will be markets which are completely dominated by offline, and in offline also there might be branded players, there might be unorganized players, right? Saris as a market is heavily unorganized, right? There are branded players, but a huge chunk of that goes to unorganized market as well, right? So first you will have to evaluate what is the market offering that is there. Second point would be selection of channel, right? Now, whatever product you have, whether you want to have an online first and offline first, when you do an online first, whether it has to be via your portals, via your marketplace, and even within marketplace, which models would you prefer, right? Would you prefer listing them on a commission-based model, on an inventory-based model? That is also something that you should consider when you're launching a product, right? Because when you do it on a marketplace model versus when you do an inventory model. In the inventory model, the control shifts more from you to your channel, right? Suppose if Myntra is your channel, if you do an inventory-led model, then Myntra will hold the control to a lot of things, right? Your pricing, visibility, etc., would be in the hands of Myntra, and you would have a little play there, right? Then when you are choosing a marketplace, right, you have to also figure out what is the assortment there in that marketplace, in this place that you're playing. Okay, if suppose you are a sarees vendor, the sarees selection that is there on Myntra, right, that is something that you would have to evaluate whether which bucket of Myntra do I fit into, whether I fit into Myntra selection or not, or is there a clear gap in Myntra selection that is there, which I can enter and dominate, or the product that I have is run of the mill for Myntra, right? There are 10,000 other styles which are similar to mine, and I have to compete with those brands, right? Because your going ahead strategy would change, right? If you are entering into a white space, or if you are entering into a market which has already products there, right? You will have to adapt to different strategies there. Third would be product differentiation, right? Now, when you say that, okay, I have figured out that this is my space that I want to play, right? I'll just give you an example, a couple of examples here, right? Neiman's, Neiman's.com. What does it do? It just sells footwear, right? Not very different from your Nike, Puma, Adidas, right? But it has created a niche, not because of the product that is had, right? The product is normal footwear only, and it's not different from the current offerings that are there in the market. But how they have differentiated it in the value that the product value, right? The product value says that it is built from recycled materials, right? So they've carved out a niche for them, right? Product is not different, but the product value is different, right? So when Neiman lists on a platform or on a marketplace or on their website, right, there is a certain cohort of customers which are looking for it only because of the value that they add. They want to be associated with the cause, and hence they are doing this, right? The other example could be, if you take the current D2Cs, which is Bevcoop.com, Soulstore.com, right, etc., all operating in that place. What are they doing? They are basically selling t-shirts, right? And there is no dearth of customers who want to buy t-shirts. There is no dearth of sellers or brands who are selling t-shirts, right? If you go onto any of the marketplace, there will be lakhs of t-shirts will be listed, right? But why are people gravitating towards soulstore.com or towards Bevcoop.com? And what is it different that they don't find on any of the marketplaces, right? It's basically they've differentiated in their product attribute, right? They are selling t-shirts only, but the differentiation is in the kind of t-shirts, right? They are selling quirky t-shirts which have some logos, some captions, some quotes, etc., which is not currently available on a lot of marketplaces, right? Second, they have got good licenses, right? The Marvel merchandise or the fans merchandise, IPL merchandise, cricket merchandise, whatever, right? So that is what they are using as a differentiation lever to differentiate in the product attribute, right? The third way that you can differentiate is on the product quality, right? Now there will be brands who will be selling t-shirts for $4.99, right? Now, if you order 5 t-shirts from 5 different brands, each of them will have a different set of quality, right? Now there will be brands who would be selling t-shirts which will last only 3-4 washes. There will be brands who will be selling that can last t-shirts that can last for 15-16 washes also, right? So once I am buying a t-shirt for $4.99, but it depends on what I'm getting for that $4.99, right? If I'm looking for something which is durable, I will then again come to your brand, right? Because I know I've tried it, I'm getting a good quality product at the price that I am. There is also an expectation that is set, right? If I'm buying a $4.99 t-shirt, it's not fair for me to expect that the t-shirt will last 60 washes, right? That's not fair. If you are expecting that, then it's my mistake. But there will be, if I'm getting a product which is lasting 5 washes versus the product that is getting lasting 10 or 15 washes, right? I would definitely choose a product which is lasting 10 or 15 washes, right? So that is the differentiation. When you are, and these examples that I've given is in a crowded marketplace, right? Footwear, crowded marketplace. T-shirts, very crowded marketplace, right? So you will have to figure out some differentiation, right? That will make you stand out from these marketplace. That will make you stand out from these crowded marketplaces. If you are able to carve out a niche which is not there, no one is doing that, right? Then it's not about your product. Then it's the story that you're selling. Something like Neiman's. Their product is simple. Their product is similar to what, or it might not be something which is a Nike or an Adidas or a Puma will give you. It might not last up to that quality also, right? But there's a story that they've created, and they are working on that story. Their story is working for them. They are getting decent sales as well. So they are catering to a segment which is related to that cause, right? If that cause is big enough, you can take up that cause also and weave a story around it. Your product can be related to that, right? Another example, which I think none of us would have thought, that you can get incense sticks on online, right? Fool.co, right? What are they doing? They're just recycling the leftover flowers, etc., from temples and then making incense sticks out of it, right? Who of us would have thought that someone will buy incense sticks online, right? No one would have thought of it. But they thought of it. They got an idea. It was a complete white space. There was no one into it. And also, it's not that the incense sticks are not available anywhere, right? Incense sticks are available at every nook and corner of the city that you will be living in, right? But they have a differentiated cause associated to it, right? They are saying that the flowers that you offer at the temples, I am recycling that and preventing waste, right? So then there is a cause that is associated with it, which a lot of people can relate to, and then they kind of stick to that cause, right? The other is a price differentiation. Now, in price differentiation, there is the most important point is you have to figure out what are you offering at that price point, right? It's not necessary that everything which is cheaper sells, right? You will have 299, 399, 499, you have merchandise available at every price bucket on all of these marketplaces, right? But not everything sells, right? There will be brands which are very well capable of selling lower price points. Then there are brands which are capable of selling higher price points as well, right? And it's not that this is established brands. I'll just give you an example for Myntra, right? There's a private label of Myntra, Roadster, one of the biggest brands in Myntra. It's able to sell their t-shirts at 299, 399 also, right? And the quality is good. Okay. But there are hundreds of labels which have kind of copied Roadster, but they've not been able to meet to that quality levels, right? Then there are brands which are higher price point brands, right? Your all your formal wear brand, Blackberries, Arrows, etc., right? Even if you look at their sales on channels, they are able to scale up well, right? There are people who are willing to take premium for those shirts as well, right? It's not that the cheaper versions are not available. So in price differentiation, it is not always lower price point that you have to look at, right? You have to have a proposition which satisfies those price, right? I should be willing to pay that price for the proposition that you offer to me. Lower quality at lower prices might help you gain initial scale, but it's not a long-term play, right? There will be some point in time where you will stop acquiring customers, right? And I'm not referring to ratings or reviews now, right? I'm not going there also. Ratings and reviews will definitely reflect the quality of a product. But even if your d2c.com doesn't have ratings or reviews, or there are no ratings or reviews available when you start, right? There will be a point wherein people will buy it just because of the price is lower. They'll try it. If they don't find the quality, they'll not come back to it, right? And it's not that these marketplaces or the channels have hundreds and lakhs of customers available to shop for you, right? The discovery is anyways difficult. And now when your product is discovered, you offer something which is lower quality. So that customer is definitely not coming back if he's not happy with the quality, right? Whatever ratings and reviews he leaves is a separate thing. But if he's not happy with the quality that you're offering, he's not going to come back, right? And you would be aware that the biggest factor that is kind of leading the slowdown in the market, right? And every channel is facing the heat, be it d2c.coms or the players like Myntra, FK, Amazon, right? All of them are facing a heat on the customer acquisition. It is one of the biggest challenge that this entire industry is facing. We got a good leeway during the COVID waves hit. Everyone was trying to get things online, but now since the markets have opened up, the new acquisitions have become stagnant, right? So you will have to kind of feed onto your customers only, right? So it's important that whatever price offering that you do, you offer a proportionate quality, okay, basis the price point that you are offering it. I'm not saying that at 299 you offer a 999 quality, right? But at 299 the quality should be, what you can do is order from your competitors who are operating at 299, look at the quality. You should be in the top 10 percentile then. That's it. That's all you have to do. Ensure that you are in the top 10 percentile versus the quality that they offer. Okay. Okay. Do we have any questions?
Any questions? Yeah. Anyone who has any questions? Yeah. Yes, Sophia.
Hi, Praveen.
Yes,
One
okay.
one question that I have is when you mentioned about Neiman's, so Neiman's has a story to say. So is
Yeah.
it right to say that the branding that they do beyond marketplaces is something that drives the traffic back to the marketplaces, because marketplaces at the end of the day is a very saturated place, and unless you've seen their ads somewhere or you've read about them somewhere, you wouldn't really go as a first step towards identifying them.
Correct. No, you've rightly said that. So they've done a good set of branding, and if you look at their branding, right, their branding has not been very performance led, right? Their branding has been a lot of story led. If you look at the initial ads that they started with, right, they were not leading them to their website, or they were not leading them. They were not the CTA, or the call to action in those ads was not to buy, right? They have invested in branding, in building the story that they want to sell, right? If you are interested in that story, you will figure out a way to buy that brand. Whether you buy it from Neiman's.com or whether you buy it from Amazon, Flipkart, Myntra, whatever marketplace that they are available in. Obviously, Neiman's will prefer if you buy it from Neiman's.com, but if you are buying any from any of the marketplace also, they should be fine with it. It's just that commercial are different. But if you look at the story that they've built, right, it was more to make people aware of what they're doing and kind of associate with them, right? They kind of trigger that feeling of belongingness, that okay, I belong with this brand. I am in line with the thought that this brand is trying to portray or convey. And whenever I'm buying for footwear next, I will try and look for this brand. They were not saying that, okay, buy now Neiman's, right? At least when they started, they were not doing that. Now they've obviously attained a scale and they have all their infrastructure in place, so they're selling and their ads are also different. But initially, if you look at the story that they've built, it's always on the cause and not on buy Neiman's or whatever.
Great. Awesome. Bhavna? Yeah. And then Sneha.
Hi, Praveen.
Hi, Bhavna.
We are into eco-friendly, sustainable jute laundry baskets, which we have been selling offline. So presently, we are giving it them to two high-end retailers, Home Decor retailers in Ahmedabad. So I'll give you an example. Suppose I give a laundry basket to him for 2,100. He sells them at 5,500 in his store. So now we want to put D2C and on marketplaces. So how should we price them? And we would also like to understand whether the marketplaces or the market wants products so expensive. Where should we target them, and what is the right way to go about it?
Okay, so there will be a lot of things that we'll cover during the session, but I'll just briefly answer it, right? So if you are saying that your offline you're selling at 5,500, right? You have to figure out that will that be the same offering that you would be putting online, or will it be a differentiated offering, right? You have to figure out whether the same product that you're offering, if you offer it at 5,500, are there any players there right now? Is there a current market for it, right? That will give you the kind of market scope, right? If the players are not there, right, then you can figure out whatever commercials work best for you. There are definitely a lot of portals which are doing this, right? Supporting artisans and handicrafts and eco-friendly, etc. What you can do is you just do a simple browse through them, figure out what is the offering that they have, with which bucket that you fit into, and then take a call whether you want to go with same bucket, you want to go higher, or you want to go lower.
Perfect. Sneha, and then Aditya.
Yeah. Hi, Praveen. I wanted to check with you. You mentioned something about the inventory model, model selling on Myntra also, right? Like how Amazon has FBA and you can sell on your own dropship. So does Myntra have the same thing?
Yeah. So what I meant by inventory model was that there are two different things, right? One is fulfilled by Amazon.
Yes.
Right. That is not an inventory model.
Oh.
Inventory model is when Myntra or Amazon buys inventory from, like they hold that inventory on them, right?
Okay.
So when you do fulfill by Amazon or you do fulfill by Myntra, there is also a fulfill by Myntra model. It's marketplace only, right? It's just that when you do an inventory model, the inventory responsibility is with Myntra.
Okay.
So they can choose whatever pricing they want to do. They can choose whatever visibility they want to do, right? When you are starting up, I don't think that's a good model to enter into. It might mitigate your inventory risk, but it might not shape your brand in the form that you want to do, right? Because you kind of lose control over your pricings and all that.
Sure. Okay, but I just had a question. Sorry. Is that, does this inventory model or usually lead to higher sales because Myntra will kind of push these brands more because they've acquired this stock and now they have to sell it?
It doesn't necessarily warrant higher sale rates, because sale will be a function of the product, right? It's not just price. Myntra can control price.
Sure.
Okay. If an inventory is not selling, I will keep bumping the prices, right? And if I'm carrying the inventory risk, obviously I'll try to liquidate it faster, right?
Correct.
If it's not moving, then I'll keep bumping the prices to whatever level I reach or whatever level I can afford to reach and then sell it out.
Okay. And fulfilled by Myntra, would that help? I didn't even know there was fulfilled by Myntra.
No, so it doesn't offer you anything different that FK or Amazon do. It's not a different offering, but it's just a commercial model that is available.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, Aditya.
Hey Praveen, my question was on the white space that you mentioned. So for instance, let's say we figure out a platform, let's say Myntra or Amazon, and we figure out that this is a white space according to us because there are no products available. But how do we kind of validate?
Yeah, sorry, Aditya.
Whether there is enough demand for it. So for instance, let's say if I were to take the example, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
We can hear you now.
Okay, so Praveen, my question is, for instance, we figure out there is a white space, let's say on Amazon for, let's say, printed athleisure, which we, let's say, don't find there. But how do we validate that there is also enough demand for this? We might be thinking there is a white space, but if there is no demand for that product, we might end up going after a potential white space which actually doesn't exist. So how do we kind of triangulate this from our research is what I want to understand.
I think that's what I'm covering in the next slide.
Okay.
If I don't answer the question in the next slide, you can ask it later.
Sure, no problem. Please go ahead.
We can move to the next slide, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how do you validate whatever you've decided, right? So first is you have to figure out whether there's a market scope for it, right? And there are multiple ways that you can figure out market scope, right? Now there are multiple research agencies which will kind of do those industry specific researches. Just taking Aditya's example, right? Athleisure. Now athleisure is a growing field. It's massively grown during the COVID waves, right? People have become much more health conscious now than they were earlier in 2019. So there will be a lot of research reports which will be published on market scope just for athleisure, right? Now within that, if you have anything specific that you can further collaborate or you can further check on different platforms, the easiest way to do it, right, is the last point that I've mentioned is search trends, right? That is the easiest way to figure out whether that demand exists in the market or not. All you have to do is go to Google search trends, type in what you want to look at, and you'll get the results, right? So what I've done is here, I've added party dresses as a search term, right? Now, if you look at the demand, right, it kind of dipped during the COVID waves. If you look at these dips, these are there during the COVID wave, but it has now picked up again, right? So the easiest way to figure out whether there is a demand for that product or not is just do this Google search trends. Okay. Okay. Coming back to my deck. So first is you have to identify market scope. Like you can use there are multiple research reports which are available for free also. You can purchase them as well. You just have to choose the industry, and there are multiple reports which are available from top consultancies like your KPMG, Deloitte, Accenture as well. Or there are industry specific consultancies which also publish this. You can choose any of those and go to them. The other is the current penetration, right? Suppose athleisure, I'm just continuing with athleisure example, right? Currently, there are not a lot of athleisure brands in the country, right? Even if you look at the current the top sports brands, now your Nike, Puma, Adidas, they have a very limited offering in apparel, which is your athleisure, right? So the current penetration for these brands, if their revenue is supposed to 100, 80% of that would be still coming from footwear and 20% would be apparel, right? So there's a massive scope there. That is how you look at the current penetration. You look at the top players that are there in the market and see what is the market share that they kind of hold. Is there further scope in that market, right? The other point is saturation level. Okay, saturation, by saturation level, I mean that whatever product you identify, right, has there been a market saturation in it already, right? Because see, the point is, if I add 100 SKUs to a category, okay, now there's a principle called law of diminishing returns, right? On a portal like Myntra, right? If I add 100 t-shirts, it will not give me the revenue uptake that if I say suppose adding 100 lipsticks will give, right? Because the reason I chose t-shirts and lipsticks is because they are of the similar price point, right? But in Myntra, I have lakhs of t-shirts. But when I look at lipsticks, I have only a few thousands, right? So the additional revenue that adding a new SKU will give you, that will be determined by the saturation level, right? So if a brand comes up with saying something, I have to sell t-shirts, right, versus a brand comes up saying I have a beauty product to sell, I would be more inclined towards the beauty product, because in the long run it will give me a higher return on the visibility, or listing that product will give me a higher return in the long term versus t-shirts. There's no dearth of t-shirts that I have, and if your product is not very differentiated, right, I would not be interested in adding you to my platform, right? So you have to check saturation level at 2 points, right? One is you check the top brands which are there in the market, right? What is their hold of the market? Second, you check the preferable portals, right? If suppose apparel, and I assume Myntra is the preferred portal for apparel, you check what is their saturation level in these categories. Okay. Fourth point is reason to buy, right? And this is one of the most important factor that we struggle with, right? Now I have decided on a product, right? Since I have decided on that product, I'm kind of very emotionally attached to it, right? I know the benefits, I know that this will sell, and it could be my assumption also because I'm emotionally attached to it, right? But what is the reason to buy for the customer, right? Why should a customer buy my product and not something else? Okay, so if you say price, then it's not something which is sustainable, right? Portals like Myntra can beat you at price any day, right? We have our private labels where we have pricing controls. We can stoop to any levels if pricing is the only concern that a brand A is being bought and not brand B, right? So this again goes back to that differentiation point, right? You have to figure out the reason to buy, right? Now you figured out that price point is the gap, right? But is it something that others can't do, right? Are there barriers to entry? If there are no barriers to entry, you might scale, or you might enjoy scale for some point of time, but there might soon be new brands which will come in and they will kind of eat up your market share. So this is something very important. I think once you decide on this is the product, right, this is the question that should be deliberated a lot, saying what is the reason to buy. Okay. Fifth point is spec to price ratio benchmark. Now this is something that I covered earlier also. So suppose I am a vendor which is selling t-shirts, right? Now my offering, what are the specifications that I have versus what are the specifications that are currently being observed in the market, right? Suppose I am selling cotton sarees. Okay. Now 999 or 1999 or whatever, right? 5,000, suppose 5,000 silk sarees. What is it different that I am doing versus a Nalli's, Pothis, Ramraj, whatever silk brands that are there, right? What are they doing? So if you are offering something higher at that price ratio, right, you have a higher chance to scale. Okay. If you are offering something which is very similar, then you will be lost in the crowd, and it depends on the customer how and when he finds it, right? But if you're offering something lower, then you are on the path to get doomed. Okay. The last point is again search trends. Easiest way to figure out what is the demand, and it also gives you a view of how the trend line has been, right? If it has been a trend line, then it's good to enter into that market, right? But a lot of products which we see that, okay, this product is now upcoming, they are fads, right? It will work for 1 or 2 months and then it will like fall sharply, right? So you have to kind of slightly observe also. Don't get too invested in the start slow, and then figure out whether the trend is continuing or not. If the trend is continuing, you can anyway scale up. If the trend doesn't continue, you can switch or have a new line of products. Okay.
Perfect. I think there's a question from Aditya.
Yeah.
Hey Praveen, thanks for walking that through. My question is, like, with Google Trends and obviously Google keywords, we can figure out the trend and also the volumes that people are searching on Google. Is there a way to figure that out for a particular platform, like let's say Myntra? Because there might be people who
we do monitor it. It depends. I'm not sure how much of that would be shared to the outside partners as well. So you can check with your corresponding POC for any of the platforms. The platforms do monitor it.
And is that something that can be shared by the platforms in case you make a request?
Depends on the kind of ask that you have, right? If you have a very particular ask, the platform might not be comfortable sharing it. But if you're asking something very generic, right, I think the platform can share that.
Got it. My second question is a bit more tactical, but like specifically for Myntra, is there a way? So I mean, we are still not listed on Myntra, but we are on Amazon. Is there a way to expedite the process of kind of getting listed on Myntra? I mean, are there few things to keep in mind which kind of enable that process, or is it something which just the category managers kind of finally take a call on?
See, the difference between Myntra and other marketplaces is that Myntra strives to be a curated marketplace. So there is a certain checks and there are certain benchmarking that Myntra has already ensured that they follow for any of the brands that get listed on the platform. Unfortunately, there is no way to expedite that. There's a huge queue that the team takes up every month, but it depends on the category manager also. If they feel that this is a product offering which is very differentiated and we are missing out on it, then they can still figure out to expedite that. But otherwise, they will follow the due process of checks that are there.
Understood. Thank you so much.
Sure. Okay. So I'm assuming there are no questions, right? I'm going to the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next is choosing the right channel, right? Now, when you are a brand, right, you are definitely confused between whether I go to Amazon, whether I go to FK, Myntra, hundreds of other marketplaces, I launch my own D2C, or I do everything at all, right? There is a commercial angle to every thing of it, right? I'm not covering that commercial angle because once you've decided to start a brand of yours, I'm sure you would have covered the commercial angle of it. I'm just taking the qualitative and some of the quantitative aspects that you should keep in mind when you're choosing the channel, right? First is the channel demographics, right? And right now I will be using Myntra and FK as a two comparative platform, right? And this data is not something which is there on internet very easy, but if you do some researches or if you have some contacts in terms of category managers, etc., they will be able to share it with you, right? There is a filing that each portal does with the regulatory body in India. You can download that as well, right? Okay, and the portals that are public, that you can anyways have their annual reports and you'll get some of these matrices from there as well, right? Okay, so channel, what do I mean by channel demographics, right? By channel demographic, I mean what is the customer base looking like for that portal, right? There are portals which are very strong in certain geographies of India. There are certain portals which are equally present in all geographies of India, right? For example, if you look at for East market, Flipkart is much more dominant than Myntra is, right? It is also regional domination. One of the major factors is that the pin code serviceability, right? The wider network that a portal has, the better their regional presence will be. Okay, so you have to, if your product is something which would have higher demands towards a region, then this is something that you should definitely check whether the portal that you are getting listed at has the equal or a higher regional demand in any of the regions that you want to get listed. Okay, the other is customer perception, right? Now, at the risk of sounding not very supportive of Myntra, if you have to buy a beauty product, right, which portal would you prefer, Myntra or Nykaa?
Nykaa.
Obviously. So it was a rhetorical question, but I'm saying that is the customer perception, right? it's not that Myntra doesn't have those customers that are buying beauty, right? Myntra also sells beauty. Our selection is not at par with Nykaa right now, but we have a good chunk of selection. But still, customer would prefer Nykaa over Myntra, right? That is a perception. Even if I have the same lipstick or the same your Lakme kajal, right? Your regular kajal, iconic kajal listed on both the platforms, you would still prefer to buy it from Nykaa than from Myntra, right? In some cases, price does play a role. So if you're getting 10 rupees cheaper at Myntra, you can still switch to Myntra and buy that. But there are a lot of cases where price doesn't make a difference. You have to, there's a perception that it's in your mind, and then you just go ahead and prefer that platform. Another example here would be Flipkart versus Myntra, right? If you are buying a Nike shoe, okay, and this is what has come from multiple researches as well, right? People would prefer to buy a Nike shoe from Myntra versus Flipkart. The reason being authenticity, right? Now, it is not the case that Flipkart is selling fake products, right? But you would have not seen Myntra selling their soap bars, right? That you hear in the news that FK, you bought something and you got soap bars, right? The reason there is that Myntra is not still a marketplace like FK is, right? In marketplace, we have brand listed versus FK has sellers listed on marketplace, right? So that authenticity level is still more towards Myntra than FK. Okay, so it's not that these portals are not operating in that space, right? It's not that you don't get Nike originals on FK. It's just the perception that you have in mind, right? And if you are a brand whose portfolio does get impacted by these perceptions, then you should be very careful with the portal that you choose with, or that you can choose to list on all the portals, but you will have to choose portals where you focus, right? So that should have a factor of customer perception as well, right? Customer socio-economic profile, right? You get these consultants do those demarcation, right? SCCA, SCCB, SCCA plus, or metro tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, right? Depending on the product that you have and the awareness of that product, right? So suppose we launch something which is environment friendly or recyclable something, right? People in tier 2 and tier 3 might not care about it that much than people in metro or T1 would, right? And even if you look at the tier 2, tier 3 market, people in tier 2, tier 3, the cream of it, right, would still consider it. But the masses of tier 2, tier 3 might not associate with the product because they have other factors that they consider which they give higher priority, right? So you have to understand the mix of your platform as well, right? Is your platform more T2, T3 dominated, or is your platform more metro dominated? Is your platform more SEC or A or SEC B dominated, or is your platform most mass dominated, right? I'll not use SEC A, SEC, but it's more entry. This is the definition that most of the e-com portals use: entry, mass, mass premium, and premium, right? You have to understand whether premium brands sell on Myntra or not. Whether premium brands sell on FK or not, right? Or is the portal that XYZ, the portal that you are looking at, is only the portal which is focused on mass and mass premium or entry and masses, right? Will your product resonate with them? If not, you can list it. Whatever sales you get, consider as bonus, but don't focus on that channel. The other is customer age profile, right? Now, earlier, what used to happen was there was only a certain age of customers who used to buy online, right? That's not the case anymore, right? Starting from a 10-year-old to a 70-year-old or an 80-year-old, everyone can shop on the platform now, right? So you have to again consider what is the target audience for your product, is the mix of that product. Suppose I'm launching something which is very relevant for teens, right? You have to figure out which partner or which channel are the teens shopping from. Okay, it could be then an upcoming D2C portal as well, right? It might not be your regular Myntra, Flipkart or Amazon, right? There's also a perception that, okay, my parents buy from Flipkart and Amazon. I don't want to buy from Flipkart and Amazon, right? It's a website for older people, or it's a website only for electronics. My category, this category, or this particular product, I'll not buy from Flipkart and Amazon, right? So you have to first figure out where your TG is. If you're focusing on teens, you have to figure out where the teens are shopping from. It might not be these portals, right? Okay, now coming to channel target groups, right? Channel target groups also, this is the easiest way to do it is search what is the listicles or news or PR articles that these channels do, right? If you want to understand what TGs or target groups Myntra is focusing on, all you can do is Google Myntra news. You will find some articles from the leadership which will clearly state out what is the target that we're going behind, right? What is the next set of growth coming from, right? If that aligns with your product strategy, then please go ahead and scale there. Otherwise, you can choose another portal which will help you focus. I'll continue with the teens example only here, right? If suppose Myntra has said that, okay, my next set of growth will come from Gen Z, right? Which we now call it people who between age of 15 to 25, right? If your product is relevant, then you should kind of take the lead on Myntra. You can say that, okay, I have a product which is very relevant to the audience that you are targeting in future. Let me be the leader of this audience. If I have a relevant product, you judge it. If they find it in line with their strategy, they can use it, right? The next is a penetration level, right? So you have to figure out whether the channel that you are choosing has a decent penetration in that space or not, right? Suppose if you're an infant apparel brand, or if you are something who offers infant diapers, right? Is Myntra the right channel? Has Myntra the right customer group for you? Has Myntra penetrated into that group or not, right? If you're offering daily wear sarees, right? Which are sarees, say suppose 400 to 500 rupees, or people, you are relying on people to buy that daily, or at least once a month, twice a month, whatever, right? Because that is more of a volume game. So is Myntra the channel where people are buying those sarees daily? Is there enough volume for that in Myntra, right? Whether Myntra has penetrated that segment enough for 100 brands to be participated in that, right? For example, t-shirts, there are more than 1,000 brands that are there on Myntra, right? But still Myntra is scaling because there is headroom for us to penetrate it further into that segment, correct? For example, if I take an infants example, right? Myntra is not very good with infants, but do I have scope for 1,000 infant brand to be listed on my platform right now? No, because I have not penetrated enough into the space that I can offer sales to 1,000 brands, right? But in t-shirts, I've penetrated enough, and there is enough headroom that another 500 brands, if they get listed on Myntra, they will still be able to manage some scale. Okay. Preferred channel, right? Now, if you check with any of the customers who are more associated with T2, T3 audiences, right? They don't associate a lot with Myntra, right? If you say that what is your preferred channel, or Ajio, or for that matter, Nykaa, right? Because these are a little aspirational platforms, and a lot of the mass audience or the entry audience doesn't associate with them, right? Even if you look at the campaigns that Myntra does, those are very aspirational. Versus if you look at the campaigns that your FK or Amazon does, those are more focused on affordability, right? So you have to figure out what is the preferred channel, right? Again, going back to beauty. Preferred channel for beauty is anyways Nykaa. They are kind of monopolistic there, right? So if you have a choice between Myntra and Nykaa for beauty, unfortunately, Nykaa is no brainer. Okay. Then customer stickiness or loyalty, right? This is a more important when you initially the portal will be able to provide you customers, right? But soon when your exposure increases, right, you have to figure out how platform is looking at growth, right? If platform is looking at growth using acquisitions, or is platform looking at growth using customer repeats, right? Because beyond a point, your brand will need repeats, right? You would want people to come back again and again and shop, because that lowers your cost. Every customer new that you have to acquire, you have to incur a higher cost, and this is true for both platforms and brands, right? If platform has to give away higher cost, some part of it will also come from brands, right? brands will have to fund that journey for the platforms. So if the platform is more reliant on acquisitions, in the long term, it might not be beneficial for you, because the platform strategy itself is not repeats. The platform itself is focused on new acquisitions, right? There are 100 customers that buy your product today or this month. The next month, it will be next set of 100, right? So while you might be able to sustain your sales, right? But in the long term, you will reach a saturation point soon. Okay. Cool. So I think next we have the breakout activity. Sharad, do you want to take questions before this?
Yes. First, any questions? Sounds clear. What we've decided also is we'll do sort of a breakout, not a breakout, an individual worksheet which will be shared right now, where you sort of apply this to your business, and then you sort of understand those things, insights, what has been taught, and then we'll raise questions. But yeah, before that, Jay, yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to understand that while you were discussing metrics, we discussed a lot which was on the channel end, whereas which was available in open resource. So I just wanted to understand when we are discussing a saturation of a category on a marketplace. So that part of information, how do we gather that? Whether this category is already saturated or the amount of people selling this product.
So a lot of it would be available, easily available also, right? It's you don't have to search for platform specific research there. You search for those category specific research, right? Suppose your product is t-shirts, right? So you search for men's apparel categories or men's apparel researches. There you will find which are the top players in the market, okay? And you will find what are the scale that they've been operating at, right? You will not find the exact penetration, but at least the share you will be able to figure out from that, right? And from that share, they will also give you a projection of what is this industry expected to grow, right? So if it is at, say, suppose X, the industry X is expected to grow at 1.5x, right? In the next 2-3 years or whatever. Then that gives you that potential. So whether that market is saturated or not.
Okay.
And then depending on the share of that, each of the channel, right? You can choose which channel do you want to prefer. If a channel is holding, say, suppose 80% share, right? It is likely that the growth on that channel will be lower, right? But if a channel is, if it's equally divided, right? 20-30%, there are multiple 4-5 players which are holding 20-30%. Then there is a scope of equal growth in all the channels.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, Supriya?
Hi, Praveen again. One question I had was that when you spoke about a platform and the strategy towards repeat or towards acquisition, as a brand, we are a sustainable accessories brand. We work with plant-based materials like cork and banana to make our jewelry and stuff. So we are currently working only on our own website, and hence I wanted to understand this in detail. So when you're talking about a repeat customer on a platform, that knowledge would not be made available to us, right? So in that sense,
you will not get the exact numbers, but a ballpark number can be shared.
So would the cost of acquisition change if there is a repeat customer? Because I understand that it would be the same commission that is meted out, unlike when it's a D2C.
No. So I'll just explain that, right? When I say a new customer, it is new to it's new to the platform, right? Right now we're discussing channel, right? See, suppose Myntra has to acquire a customer, right? A person who is already a Myntra customer, the amount of offerings that he'll get from Myntra will be lower than the person who is a new customer, right? When a customer is new, and since the market we have decent penetration already into the market, right? So every new customer we have to shell out more, right? Suppose I'm giving you 100 rupees extra coupon to get to become a Myntra customer, right? There will be cases where Myntra will not be funding the 100% of it. If suppose a person is buying your account on his first purchase, right, you would be expected to bear some expenses of that, because it's not only a customer which is getting added to Myntra, but it is also a customer which is getting added to your brand, right? So that is where the cost becomes higher. Your commissions will not change, right? But you will be asked to fund some amount of those acquisition costs that we have.
Okay, understand.
Directly or indirectly, either ways.
Okay, now I get it. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, great. So Praveen, I think we have so two things. We have shared something like a link in chat. That will sort of open up the spreadsheet for you. But Praveen, if you want to sort of walk them through the spreadsheet on your screen, it will be easier. And people just open the spreadsheet and make a copy, and then sort of we'll walk you on what you want to sort of do in the next. We'll sort of take around 15 minutes for sort of doing that exercise.
Okay.
So that will sort of make it real for you. Yeah.
Okay. I have to open that.
First, everyone just the link in chat. Click on that link. He'll open up a sheet for you. Just make a copy, and then sort of that's the next exercise you're going to do. You want me to share, Praveen?
No, I'll just share. Yeah. Okay. Is my screen visible?
Yeah. You might need to just zoom in a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Bottom left में जो 100% लिखा है ना उससे हो जाता है. अच्छा यहाँ से भी सकते हैं. ठीक है. Zoom in.
Okay. Sorry. Is it better?
Yeah, much better.
Okay. So, okay, this is I'll just walk you through the exercise that we do when I am figuring out white spaces for my private labels, right? What do we do is, so there are additional data points that are available to us, which are on the revenue side, right? I can figure out what is the revenue that is coming from each of the brands and each of the price points, etc. And then I can take a decision basis that. The thing that is more relevant or it's easier to do is a selection benchmarking, right? All you have to do is, suppose you are a sarees brand or any apparel brand, right? What I do is, I open Myntra, I search for that category, and then you have these filters available on the list pages.
आप वो कर रहे हो ना, ऊपर साफ कर रहे हो ना टैंकी, जाने से पहले मिल लेना, ठीक है?
One second.
Sorry. So you have these price filters available on the list pages, right? Choose the relevant price points that are there for you. So if this is a low ISP category, these will be the price points. If you are selling something which is higher ISP, your price points will be different, right? You just populate this, okay? Then what happens on the right-hand side is it gives you a mix, right? Now, first question is that if this is my current selection, which is the portal that I'm nearest operating at, right? With your current selection, you are nowhere near what Flipkart or Amazon are operating in this category. Okay, you are closer to what Nykaa Fashion is doing, or you are closer to what Myntra is doing, right? The next closest proximity channel for you is Myntra, right? Now, if I'm a brand which is there, or if I want to enter this, right, you have to figure out where do you see gaps, right? So, for example, this category, 300 to 500, sorry. These players are still there, but your newer players, right? These are not there, right? So this is one white space, right? Now over this, you will have to apply the checks that we discussed earlier, right? Whether these are relevant for that channel or not, right? If it's relevant, then please go ahead and start selling. But if it's not relevant, then you will have to figure out in this space, right? This is the space which is very strong for Myntra, right? In this space, is there something that I can offer as a differentiator, right? You go through that selection, take the top 2-3 brands that are available in that space, go through that selection, see if you can offer it something differentiator, right? Now again, differentiating can be value, differentiating can be attribute, differentiating can be price. Okay, so okay, are there any questions on this right now before we break out?
Yeah, so there are 2-3 questions. I think Aditya. Yeah.
Hey, Praveen.
Hi.
Praveen,
Aditya, we have a tough time hearing you. You'll have to sort of put your question in chat. Huh? Your voice is breaking. Meanwhile, Apar, why don't you ask a question? Yeah.
Hi, Praveen. There was a slight lag. I missed what are the numbers that you put on the table on the left side, 28, 542. What are those numbers?
These are the number of styles that are there, or SKUs, whatever you want to call it.
No,
options.
Options which are there on the portal, existing options.
Correct. Correct.
Okay, got it.
So if you don't have a product here, right, ignore this, and then this gives you a view of where are the different channels playing. Okay, but if you have a product already and you have these numbers, then it will kind of help you figure out which channel are you closest to, right? If you are this brand, right, then I don't think FK or Amazon are the channels for you, right? It might give you some sales, but this is not where these portals are focusing on.
So first 2-3 things I want to sort of make sure everyone understands how to fill this sheet. One is you will sort of pick up a category which you want to sort of understand where there's a white space for. So in this example, so we sort of made has 2 tables. The first table is give an example for picking sarees as a category. And at the bottom is what you sort of update for your own business once you make copy. Given you've picked a category, then you will fill out which are those marketplaces you need to sort of evaluate for your particular category, and what is the sort of the selection range in terms of the number of products listed in that category in that marketplace against a particular price range. So if you notice again, the other part you need to fill in yellows is basically price ranges. So how does the marketplace distinguish on price in terms of what intervals of prices it's sort of evaluated? So you need to fill out your price range, and then you have to sort of put out numbers in for each of your category. First, is the first part clear to people? I just want to sort of make sure that is clear, right, Praveen? Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah.
And maybe Lakini, you have a question, so let's hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, I have 2 questions. While filling this data gives you a perspective of, on what platform to sell, it still doesn't, really make me understand that, at what is the average or the median price point of the product in that category that would do well. So, firstly, is that the information that the platform is able to provide you? Second, if I'm already selling on that platform and doing a certain number of sales, is there a way to benchmark my performance vis-a-vis, say, the top 20, 25 performers, so that I know how much opportunity I have, and that could really call a lot of decisions in terms of how much I can invest for marketing or inventory or launching new lines?
Okay, so on your first question, right, I think the average selling price for a particular category, right? Suppose you are selling t-shirts, then the average selling price for t-shirts on Myntra, your category manager, whoever is the account manager, he or she can share. I don't think that should be a concern as such. The second point, right, benchmarking against top 20, 25 brands. I don't think that would be readily available, because if you are one of those top 20, 25, right, you would not be comfortable with the channel sharing that with other brands. Because if it's not a differentiated category, right, it's very easy to copy and replicate the product. So even if you are one of those top 20, 25 brands, I don't think you would be comfortable if the marketplace does that.
Not really the numbers, but just having something to understand, that where I stand vis-a-vis what scope I have to grow, so that really informs decisions like whether I should continue selling here, etc.
So see, I think what maximum I have not been on the other side, so I'm just assuming that what they can be comfortable sharing is that they can share a rank for you if that's something that works, right? That okay, within my list of sellers who are selling X category on my channel, you are ranked 25th or 30th, whatever, right? Then it kind of gives you a sense of the headroom. But again, it depends on different whatever they are comfortable sharing with. You might have to check with them. I've never been on the other side. I've only been on demand side.
Got it. Thanks.
Praveen, can you hear me? Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
Praveen, my question is, so when we are populating this table, for instance, for Myntra 0 to 300, you mentioned 28. Right. That means there are like 28 sellers in the range of 0 to 300.
No, this is options. This is not sellers.
Okay, these are the number of products. It can be even from one.
It can be from anyone. Yeah.
Okay. Secondly, would it be fair to look at all the products? Because there might be a lot of products which are not selling, right? Or should we look at products which have at least some ratings or some reviews to kind of give a better outlook?
You can do that as well. But this is more if you have a very specific ask, right? Or if you have a very specific product that you have in mind, you can look at that specific range as well. Or you can look at specific filters as well, right? But this is more broadly if you don't have any product in mind, or if you are still exploring a new range, or if you have to figure out where do I go next, right? If you have to figure out a growth for your existing product, then you will have to put several more filters on top of this. But if you're just exploring white spaces, right, this is just to explore white spaces, then this should be sufficient.
Okay, and if it's the other case where we have a product already, apart from reviews, any other filters that you would recommend that we put on top of this?
You can also try different filters, as in attribute level filters, right? Suppose if you said you were selling athleisure, right? Now you are also selling a printed athleisure, right? So you put a filter of printed t-shirts, right?
Okay.
And then you can also use different sort mechanisms that are there on the platform, right? Sort price high to low, get a view of what is selling at what price point. Sort by discounting, sort by popularity, right? Popularity is the factor which kind of mirrors the sale that happens on the platform, right? So if you sort by popularity, it will give you a decent view of the top sellers on the platform for that particular category. Not exactly, but it will give you a decent idea.
Understand. And the insight to draw from the table on the right is, if your greens match with the greens of the platform, then that is the relevant platform. So for example, in this case, Nykaa and Myntra would be the right relevant platforms for the example that you've taken.
Correct.
Understood. Thank you.
Sorry, I think we will be short of time, Sharad.
That's okay. we'll figure out. So, Praveen, I think one more good example is we just yes, like I also highlighted. Can we sort of walk them through one example how to read the sheet from the percentages side, like as an example, where for your brand, that's so it will be easier for them, I think.
Okay, sure, I'll do that. So if you look at this, right, row number 11 that I'm currently highlighting, this is basically my mix of options. So 10 divided by 460. Okay, this is my current mix that I have available with me. This is the mix that these channels or marketplaces have, right? So you have to figure out where you are falling in this scheme of things, which platform do you kind of mirror in terms of current selection. And if you want to focus on here, right, if you want to focus here, right, then there could be two things, right? Either this is a white space that portal has, or this is very saturated, right? So then you have to put in those lenses that we discussed earlier, saying, is this Flipkart 0 to 300 already saturated, right? If this is saturated, you move to the next bucket. If it's not saturated and still there are multiple players coming there, you can go and gain some revenue from there.
And Praveen, definition of something like an opportunity or a clutter. You know, like when we were sort of, so there's at the bottom of the sheet.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So if you're looking at this cell, right, initially you might feel that this is an opportunity, right? 0 to 300 sarees at Myntra, only 3% options there, right? But is this something that portal wants to, right? So if you just look at this data, you clearly, and you want to be a seller on Myntra, you will clearly say that, okay, 0 to 300 is a clean white space. There is no one playing in there. I'll enter into it, scale, and like gain massive revenue, right? But is it something which is aligned with the platform aspirations as well, right? Is Myntra planning to play here? The answer is no, right? So you have to figure out that answer. So this is then not a clear white space, right? If you look at this cell, right, 29%, right? If you have to gain revenue, you just introduce these sarees on FK or Amazon, and then you'll gain revenue, right? But is it the case that this is already flooded, right? There are 542 styles, and these are represented numbers. These are not the correct numbers actually. 542, right? Now, is 542 enough to cater to that market or not, right? If it is enough, then you saturate it. But if it's not enough, then there is further scope. You add another 100 from your end and you scale.
Cool. Aditya, I have a question.
Yeah, Praveen. So just taking this example forward, you mentioned, I mean, 29% Flipkart, 29% Amazon on the 0 to 300.
Yeah.
So this can mean two things, right? One, it can mean there is a space here, or it can also mean saturated, depending on whether the platform thinks whether they should be adding more brands or not.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Now that's
platform things, and also, so see, there is one which platform thinks, like there might be different motivation factors for different people, right? The platform might say that, okay, anyways, I have already 1 lakh shares, another 1,000 won't make a difference. They'll say, okay, come list on the platform. But you have to do your research to figure out whether it's saturated or not.
Yeah,
you
so
shouldn't rely on the platform information.
Yeah, so is there an objective way for us to figure that out? Because I mean, it seems like this is more like a platform call. I mean, that's a call that the
No, it's
platform
not
is
a
taking.
platform. See, anyways, a platform like Flipkart or Amazon will never stop you from listing anything, right? The more you list even if they get 100 rupees from you, that is additional for them, right? But for you, is 100 rupees enough? Okay, so that is a call that you will have to take. You will have to understand from a platform and the external resources that you have, that whether this space is enough or not. Because see, beyond a point, I will just go back to what I said earlier. There's a law of diminishing returns. Adding 100 styles might not give me the same return for this category versus for the other category, or adding 100 styles in this platform will not give me the same amount of sales versus adding 100 styles on a different platform.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. We'll start the breakout then, sir.
Yeah, so we'll take another 5 minutes, where 10 minutes we can take, I think, where we want you to sort of take out time and fill this up. So we don't need to put it in a breakout. Everyone needs to work on it individually.
Okay.
And just sort of take out 10 minutes and sort of fill this sheet up. And if in 10 minutes, you can sort of make some progress. I hope by the time people have started also doing it. Because when you fill it up, maybe you'll have more questions. We want to sort of address that. Sounds good. And if you scroll down the sheet, right, when you do this, Praveen, if you just scroll down the sheet, you'll sort of we want to sort of fill up these opportunities. In which price range are you sort of able to identify those white gaps, and in which marketplace? And if you scroll down, you might also want to identify cluttered, right, where you don't want to enter. So again, in which price range and which marketplace. Sounds good. That's sort of the exercise. So we'll take another 5-7 minutes, maybe 6:21, probably 6:30.
Yeah.
So 9 minutes. Okay, anyone will sort of make some progress. If you want to give me a thumbs up, I just want to make sure in the interest of time we sort of cover a few remaining parts. Though it will be sort of taken, you can also continue this later, but any questions while filling this up also, or any interesting observations? Praveen, should we start? Can we ask?
Yeah, we can start.
Yeah. So any observations when you filled it up? Any interesting insights? Yeah, Abhishek. Yeah.
I cannot just fill it right now. There are like 680 pages of for jewelry category. It is so cluttered right now. So I realized that of course we need to be a little more. I cannot do on a category level. It needs to be drilled down a bit more.
You don't need to explore every page.
No, I'm skipping pages. First of all, Myntra is not providing me option to do price point. It has just gone from 0 to 10,000 and then 10,000 plus.
I'll give you a trick for it. You want me to give you a trick for it?
I would love it. I tried it, but nothing seems to be working.
It's a bit a hack that I think we have to do it day in, day out. So I'll just share that. Which category you are looking at for Myntra?
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to list on Myntra for quite some time, so I thought might as well start from there.
No, which category do you want me to look at for Myntra?
Earrings in jewelry.
Earrings, okay. 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 Is my screen visible?
Yeah, we can see the screen.
Yeah. Okay. So what you do is you just search for the category. If it's available in the top nav, it's good. I'll just say that okay, I've landed here, right? Myntra.com/earrings. Okay. The overall option counts is here. So there are 34,000 earrings that are there on Myntra. Clear here? You don't have to scroll to every page actually.
Yep.
Is this okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Next, you apply any of the price point filters. Okay. It's easier when you do it on the app because app has that slider. Okay. So app will give you a better view, but the hack here is suppose your price point is 0 to 300, right? So here instead of 10840, is my navigation bar visible?
Yeah.
You just make here 399 and you just make here 10840 ki jagah pe 399. You will get 8,000 items. So there are 8,000 earrings which are available in 0 to 399 on Myntra. Similarly, you can do it for all the portals. That's a hacky way to do it. If you do it on the app, it's easier because the app has a slider, so you can move price points accordingly.
Got it.
Praveen, but sorry, I have a question. Amazon does not give this number. Like Myntra is giving 8231 ka number very upfront. Amazon doesn't give this number. It's always showing up to 20,000.
Yeah, usme then you will have to lower your so that it kind of gives you a certain number.
Okay.
वो आप थोड़ा manipulate कर सकते हो.
Got it. ठीक है.
There are a lot of see, you'll have a lot of line items with ads, right? Sponsored products which are repeats across pages.
No, if you use filters, the products will not be repeated. You're using a specific filter, right? A product will be either under 399 or above 399. It cannot be in both spaces.
Okay.
Okay, great. So I think you also want to get an idea of how to fill that sheet and sort of identify your opportunities and sort of your clutter. So let's complete the session now. You have a few slides you want to cover.
Yeah. Okay. Just a system. Okay. Okay. Now I'll just I don't deal with ads on the platform, but since I'm on demand side, I'll just give you a overview of how you kind of work with platform ads, right? There are different kinds of ads that the ads team would kind of pitch you. Those will be banner ads, search ads, product description, product list page ads, right? Or there will be banner on list pages, etc. You have to first figure out what is the reason that you want to do ads, right? Whether you are doing for sales, whether you're doing for exposure, or whether you're doing for brand building. And by exposure, I mean just creating awareness that, okay, XYZ brand exists on the channel, right? So first you have to be very clear of each of the objective that you are doing ads. It usually is sales, but you have to understand where are you in terms of your brand journey, right? If you are at an initial stage, doing a lot of sales ads might not help you. Okay. Suppose, and if you are, moreover, if you are in a saturated category, right, then sales ads are actually not going to help you because there will be a lot of known brands which are already popular there, right? So if you're doing a PLA, which is a sales ad, PLA is the product listing page ad that out of every 8 listing that you see, one would be an ad, right? If you are starting with that, it's highly unlikely that you would get a good ROI, right? If you are a brand which is just starting up, you're launching on a channel, or if you are an established brand outside and you are new on the channel, right, then you can still do PLAs because there is a brand awareness for you. But if your brand which is starting, overall, I would say that you invest in, again, it's a call that you want to take, but my recommendation would be that you either invest in exposure or in brand building, right? Exposure will be your brand story with a CTA of buy now. Okay. Brand building is you just use different channels and different means to share across your brand story, right? It might not necessarily need a sales call out, right? You can direct them to a page which just lists out your brand features or product features or whatever. With exposure, you loop them to a list page of a list of products that is your list of SKUs that you are available on that channel. Okay. Then the next point is, why should you invest in platform ads? So there are a lot of people who are in the dilemma whether I invest on app or off app, on the channels or not on the channels. Again, there is no one size fits all, right? It's usually depends again on the brand journey that you are at, the stage that you are at, and the kind of objectives that you want to solve for it. I'll just give you one advantage of doing investing in platform ads is that you have a relevant customer. Okay, if you are doing an Instagram ad versus doing an ad on Myntra, right? The person who is coming on Myntra definitely has a intent to buy. If not today, tomorrow, day after, but he has an intent to buy, or if not intent to buy, he has an intent to browse, right? Otherwise, he'll not open Myntra app. So Instagram, you are inserting your ads into someone who's there for scrolling, content viewing, or whatever, right? People might register your brand, might not register your brand, right? But when they come to Myntra, they are coming with an intent, okay? And also Myntra gives you the, and apologies for using Myntra, the channel gives you the opportunity to choose the real estate, right? Suppose I am a beauty brand, okay? Now, whatever channel I use will have a specific section for beauty, right? I can get a slot in that specific section, right? So that increases my relevance, okay? It might reduce my reach, right? If I get a homepage ad, I might get 100 impressions or 100 eyeballs. But if I get a beauty section, I might get only 20 eyeballs, right? But as and when it becomes more specific, your relevancy increases, right? I will only go to the beauty section if I'm looking for something beauty, right? Otherwise, I'll be on the homepage. So it gives you a more targeted view than your Instagram or Facebook can give, right? The other advantage, which is the biggest advantage that I said, is relevance and intent, right? You might not get higher intent eyeballs or impressions on the Instagram, Facebook, Google, etc. But if you get on a platform, there is a higher intent traffic which is coming in. Okay. The next point, when to invest in which type of ad, right? And again, this is a recommendation from my end. I'm not an expert on this particular field, but if you are a brand which is starting, I would recommend that you invest in awareness and not in sales. Okay, it might have a lower ROI right now, but it will definitely reduce your expenses later, because you don't have to keep investing the same amount of money for every sale, right? If I'm investing in sales, right, there is no brand salience for me. I'm just investing because people see my product in the list page and then they keep buying, right? So you have to keep on investing the same amount for every sale that you do, right? But if you build an awareness, if you invest in building awareness or in the brand building, it's an initial investment that you have to do. Post that, there will be brand repeats which will happen, right? People will search for your brand. That kind of reduces your pressure on investing in sales ads. Okay, cool. Any questions on this? I'm sure there will be definitely a lot of them, but I'll try and answer as much as I can.
Also, I just want to highlight, I mean, anyways, from an ad section, this coming week, we'll be only focused on sort of one session will be on marketplace ads, where we sort of cover that in more detail. But yes. So there's one question. Yeah, Harsh.
So we have the ORS coming up in 2 weeks. I am a brand selling on Myntra. I wanted to understand what kind of ads would be the best for me. I mean, I am going to spend about 2 lakhs on PLAs. Are there any other properties that I should look at?
Sorry, I'm not aware of the brand journey that you are at, right? What is your scale that you operate at Myntra and all that? So I might not be able to answer very tactically here, but in general, your recommendation would be that during an event, if you are looking for eyeballs, PLA is not the space that you will get eyeballs. PLA is for sales. Okay. But if you want to build the brand awareness, given that EORS will have a lot of traffic coming in, you will have to, you should rather invest in brands which are in widgets which are more relevant to your brand, and at the right page or at the right space, right? If you're a men's apparel brand, focus on men's page. If you're a women's apparel brand, focus on women's page.
Okay.
If you're a beauty brand, focus on beauty page.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Praveen. Sorry, I had a quick question. I've never run ads on any marketplaces till date. How do you run brand ads on an Amazon or a Myntra or a Flipkart? I mean, aren't they always directed to your particular product?
No, so they have different types of ads, right? The banner ads that you see, right? Those are brand ads. You are advertising a brand, right? There are widgets that each of these portals have, which also showcase the brand story. Those video content ads, right?
Okay.
They might not generate sales for you, but at least they builds a brand awareness. So whoever you are interacting with in any of these portals, or if you're using self-serve portals, there will be widgets. You can understand what each widget serves. There will be widgets which will be solving for this as well.
But the call to action in any case for these banner ads or brand ads is still your brand page, right, which has a list of your products.
Right, it is, but I'm saying, right, what the warehouse team does it, they're doing PLA, right? In PLA, it is ad on a particular list page already.
Correct.
The ads that I'm saying is, you have a brand name, you have a whatever, depending on the space that is allocated to you, you can have a brand story, etc. It will lead to a list page, definitely. But if you're doing a video content ad, it's more for awareness and it doesn't lead to a sale call out.
Got it. Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey, Praveen. Praveen, my question is around if there's a brand that's starting on the marketplace, for instance, Myntra, what are some of the best practices to kind of keep in mind while we are building that, either from the point of product listing or from the point of reviews or from the point of view of adding a video, or let's say in Amazon having A+ content, etc. Can you just talk a bit about that so that at least we ensure if somebody lands on the page, we have all the best practices in place to have the highest probability of getting a sale?
Okay, so again, I'm not an expert on this, not my domain, but I'll still answer whatever knowledge I've gained throughout the years of Myntra. So first you have to have a proper description, right? Because that plays a decent role in the search volume, right? If you have the right keywords tagged to your product, it will definitely come up in searches. Second, when you're starting on the platform, right, you would anyways have to invest in monetization, which is ads. So you have to choose it very carefully depending what you are interested in. If I am launching something, I would not invest in product listing ads. I would invest more on spaces which give me a opportunity to showcase my brands, right? Brand level ads, right? And again, emphasizing on the point of relevance, right? If you are an athleisure brand, right, would you be do you need the entire audience of Myntra to focus on to you? No, right? If you are men's apparel, men's athleisure, right, focus on men's page. That is the relevant audience for you. In homepage, there will be a lot of traffic which will be coming for women's, a lot of traffic will be coming for beauty, etc., right? So depending on the need set that you serve, you choose your ads accordingly. Okay. Cool. Can we move to the next one?
Yes, Praveen.
Sorry, I just want to ask, wouldn't the number of products that you offer vis-a-vis your competitors on the platform make a difference on you being found? So I think that is also one of the hygiene practices that should be there, right?
No, sorry. If there are two brands for t-shirts, right, and you search for t-shirts, the number of products that you have won't alter your rankings.
Not
at least on Myntra, they won't.
The probability of getting discovered increases. I mean, based on the listing.
See, usually the platforms that are there, they don't consider the width that a brand offers, right? If you have, say, suppose, okay, if you search for Kajal on Myntra, right, Lakme can list one product and get 100 rupees revenue from it, versus you listing 20 products and you might get only 5 rupees revenue out of it, right? Because platform will anyways optimize for its sales, right? Platform doesn't want to showcase styles which are not selling. So it depends. There's definitely a probability will play a factor if you have a number of products, but if you are not operating in multiples like 10x or 15x or whatever, even 5x, then that probability doesn't help you.
Okay.
I'll move to the next one then. Okay, quickly cover this. So this is basically usually the demand side, how they look at GMV, right? Usually you would have the general formula that you use is GMV is equal to traffic into conversion, right? And this is a different lens to look at it. Ultimately, you land up at similar factors, but it just gives you a different perspective that you might not have viewed your GMV from. Okay. So revenue or GMV is basically number of customers that have shopped from me into revenue per customer. Okay. Now, what is revenue per customer, right? When you break it into three factors. So first is orders per customer. Then basket size, which is quantity divided by orders, and third is ISP, right? So if you feel that your revenue, we'll take two cases, right? Either your revenue is going up or your revenue is going down, right? Now, when you say that my revenue is going down, right, you have to evaluate that from the period that I'm comparing, which of these factors is not working, right? Is it the number of customers not working, or my orders per customer is not working, or the customers are buying less, or the customer are buying cheaper price points? Okay. Now the number of customers also, right? I'll further break it into repeat customers plus new customers, right? Now, if you say that my number of customers is going down, okay, why is it going down? Is it because there are no new customers that I'm being exposed to, or is it because the customers who bought from me earlier are not buying again, right? So you have to, this is a different way of looking at it. This is how we at demand side look at it, because there are not a lot of supply levers that we have, right? We have to figure out if my GMV or my revenue is going down, then what is the factor that is leading into it, right? Now, it might ultimately land up into your traffic and conversion only, right? But this kind of gives you a perspective saying that what is the change in the customer behavior. Your conversion or your traffic doesn't give you an answer for customer behavior, right? This gives you an answer for customer behavior. Okay. I'll just explain briefly how. If my new customers is going down, right, then I have to figure out what is my exposure going down. Okay. Or is there a brand which has come into the space which is now kind of taking the new customers that I was getting? Okay. Now the brand can be operating at same price point. The brand can be operating at same offering same products, or it can be just a competitor which is kind of selling at lower price points to eat into your customers. Okay. If my repeat customers are going off, right, then you have to figure out why is that they're going off, right? Is it that I have a limited offering to offer? I suppose I have 5-10 SKUs and they're already exposed to it. I don't have anything new to offer. Or is it that people who bought from me are not buying again? They're not satisfied with the quality, or they're not satisfied with the price, or it could be both, right? Your ratings or review can kind of help you understand this, right? The other is orders per customer. Okay. Suppose you are a product which is, you're selling a product which is more frequently used, right? The use frequency is higher, right? If customers suppose buys thrice a month, right? But now they're only buying once a month, right? So is it the case that overall demand for your product in the market has gone down? Or again, some competitor has come in who is taking up demand from you? Or is that the case that customers don't feel the need to order it again, right? They are happy with now the consumption rate of once per month. Okay. The other is quantity per orders, right? If you are, if you're selling a product which is, or you're selling a range where people buy multiple stuffs at a time, right? People buy in a basket size of 2 or 3, right? But now people are only buying one. Is it the case that my product is now perceived as expensive, right? Or has the wallet size gone down? There is a macroeconomic factor which is prevalent and people are buying lesser, right? The third is ISP. Okay. Suppose you are a brand which operates in multiple ISP offering similar products, right? Suppose you're offering t-shirts at different price points. People like my quality, but now that I've introduced a lower price point range, people have moved to it, right? You might have introduced a lower price point range in order to attack a different segment. But what happened was that your brand, people started moving to a lower price point, and they kind of vacated that range that you were offering higher, right? So this just gives you a different perspective to look at things. Ultimately, you might end up looking at traffic and conversion only, but breaking this and neither of these metrics are that you are not available with you, right? You will have all of these metrics available with you. So it kind of just gives you a different perspective to look at it from the customer behavior lens. There can be factors which can be attributed to the platform itself, right? It could be the case that platform is not getting any new customers, so you are also not getting new customers. The customers are not repeating on platform, so you are also not getting repeat customers. The customers are shopping less on the platform. The perception for the people is that this platform has now become premium and I don't get cheaper products here, right? So it could be platform level, it could be macroeconomic level, saying there is a shrinkage of wallet. People are not willing to spend that much. That could be macroeconomic factor also. Also, there could be a brand related factor also, right? There is a change in selection that I do, or there is a change in offering that I do. I'm not able to infuse new SKUs. So the people who've already bought my brand, or who've already seen my brand, right? Suppose I keep searching for, say, a brand, and when I search, I see the same products again and again, which either I've bought or I've just browsed. I don't like those products. I don't want to buy those products. So it could be the case that you're not getting either new customers or repeat customers because of the selection also. Okay. Cool. I hope this helps. I will stop my presentation now. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
So any fun questions that anyone wants to sort of ask, just raise your hand. In terms of clarity, I hope sort of, yes, Sapir.
Praveen, I wanted to understand that when you have a product on a marketplace and on your own website, how you differentiate? Do you differentiate your offering for the marketplace so that from a price point there is no cannibalization, or even from a product perspective, if you have a bestseller on your website, should you have a similar product on any other marketplace which could be a premium category and a leader in its own right? So if you could just throw some light on that.
So see, ideally it depends on what scale that you are getting from your platform, right? If you are getting a scale from your platform which is kind of decent and you are content with it, you shouldn't expose it. But if there's something that you feel that I can gain more from that marketplace, you should definitely expose that. Because see, the point is that if I am a customer, right? If I have something, if I've shopped from your D2C, right? There is definitely an advantage that these marketplaces have of convenience, etc. Right? You don't have the shipping. There are multiple reasons to buy that are that these marketplaces have an advantage over your D2C brand site, right? There should be some differentiation, right? But it kind of gives you more eyeballs. And if you have a bestseller and you are not listed on any of the channels, in my recommendation, you should start with that, right? Because that's a proven product, and the number of eyeballs that you would get with a proven product, it will definitely multiply your sales, right? If you try out a range later, what you can do is you can have a differentiated range with some of which might be specifically for that channel only. But initially, I think if you have proven bestsellers, you should go ahead and list them. So my suggestion would be, if you have 10 SKUs, right, list those 10 SKUs. Your .com can have 10 plus 5, right, which is specifically for niche or your loyal customers, right? This is something that you will get only on my platform, not on the marketplaces.
Okay, understand. Thank you.
Okay, Sonia, last question. Yes.
Sorry, I'm the last one. So I just want you to touch upon sampling via the marketplaces. Now, I'll tell you specifically why.
Yeah.
We have a clear product that sort of leads across marketplaces on our own site, everything, right? What you spoke about the winner. Now we want to sort of, so we want to use the winning products to try and drive sales for the products that are not moving for whatever reasons, right?
Yeah.
So can you talk about some creative ways to do that? Because obviously you don't have the customer data on marketplaces. You can't sort of, approach them for some sort of, any reviews, and, everything is done automatically. So bundling or adding samples, or what we should be doing creatively to address that.
Okay, so there are, I'll break my answer into two parts. One is that you can do with pricing. The other is you can do with visibility, right? There are constructs that these platforms run, which are helpful for bundling, right? Suppose you run a free gift offer. Okay. Now, the advantage that these marketplaces have and your D2C.com might not have is a prompt on cart, right? Suppose I'm guessing you are selling a beauty product. Yeah. Okay. So if there's a beauty product, I can ask the platform to run that. I want to run a free gift. Okay. Now what happens is that when the top seller or my hero product gets added to a cart, when I go to the cart, there will be a prompt on the cart, right, saying you have a free gift also coming in with this order, right? Or if you want to run an offer saying buy this top seller and you get an extra percentage off on the other product also, right? That will also have a prompt on the cart saying, now that you've added to the cart, if you add XYZ products or a list of these products, you get an additional percentage off, right? That can be the construct that you can try from pricing point of view, right? Also, bundling may, whenever if you're running platform ads, right, you can run then ad saying, buy this, along with this you will get sampler, so you can anyways insert along with your packages that you ship, right? There is no constraint on that. So that kind of gives you an exposure to the customers who are already buying your product. If they like it, they can again reorder it. And even in your packaging, you can say that, okay, if you buying this next time, you can use this coupon to buy this product, right? Suppose if you're saying you are sending a sample for a moisturizer, right? You can add an insert into your packaging saying, use this code, and if you like this moisturizer, order it from the website using this coupon code or whatever. You will get an, if not sales, right, at least those exposures will be there. Okay, so there are a lot of constructs that these marketplaces offer. You just have to explore whichever works for you best. There are free gift constructs, there are attached product constructs that these marketplaces offer. You can explore them and then you can use them to increase exposure to your not hero products or the other range of products that you have. Okay. Was I able to answer your question?
Yeah, I mean the insert part, right? Because once the products have gone into FBA, like with we had there this thing, so you're sort of blocking that much inventory, even of the samplers, which otherwise, if you were self-shipping, you could have moved the inventory around, right? Correct. So our own orders, we do that, and we see a huge amount of upsell in that, which is why. Yeah. Now the thing is, when you are sending it into FBA or into their warehouse, that's where the challenge comes in, is what should you prioritize to put in. Of course, there are models like subscribe and save, bundling and stuff like that, but it's a very 80-20 thing right now. 80% of the revenue is coming from 20% of the products. Correct. But the overall revenue can boost up if the other stuff can
then you would probably have to try those attached products, right? Then sampler, if inventory is a blocker, then sampler doesn't work. The way to solve for inventory is that you know what is the demand for your hero product, right? Suppose you sell 100 pieces in a day, in a year or month, whatever. Then basis that you can plan your inventory saying, I am selling 100 pieces of this. If I have a capacity of, if I have a allowed capacity of 75, right? I can choose 50 products to have 50 for that hero product, 25 I can use for that sampler, right? Or you can have a sampler when multiple products are being ordered and not a single product that is being ordered, right? If someone is buying 2 products, he gets a sampler, right? That kind of narrows down your base. It doesn't block much of your inventory, and it also is you are incentivizing people who are buying more. Right, so you will have to choose your right set of incentivization. With pricing, with visibility, I think you would be able to figure out if you land on the right construct for it.
Okay.
Okay, Harshita, quick question last. Yes.
Yeah. So Dew is also a beauty brand, and one question that we've always had about marketplaces is that so we've positioned ourselves as a premium brand, and we try to not give discounts to our customers. Maybe once or twice in a year is what we follow generally. But what we've noticed is with marketplaces, there's always a push to give a bigger discount to get that kind of traction. So is there a way to scale on marketplaces without giving discounts very frequently?
See, there are brands who've done that, right? And there are brands who don't offer discount, whatever you tell them as a marketplace, right? You have to then just evaluate what is the customer audience relevant for you, right? It's not that all the customers who come onto that marketplace are seeking discounts. There are customers who would just come you for the product. They don't care about whether you're offering discounts or not, right? And it kind of helps if you have the same strategy across portals, right? For example, the customer will search for you across portals. If you're discounting at one portal and not discounting at the other portal, right? Then it might give you sales then, but it kills your brand, right? There is the lack of trust happens, right? So I will, even you kind of then make the customer accustomed to discounting, right? That, okay, wait for 1 day or 2 day or 1 week, this brand will come on discount. But if you have a clear strategy that you won't want to discount, then you should have a clear strategy across the portals. There are different ways that you can incentivize customer, right? You can say that, okay, if you buy for this product, I will give you, you can use a sampler. Beauty products, the best advantage that you have is you can use samples, right? Or you can say that, okay, I will kind of incentivize you in a different way. I can give you on your next 10th purchase, you get X rupees off, right? It kind of, there is an incentivization, but it's not an instant incentivization, right? You are doing a latent incentivization, right? So it might not be to the tune that the marketplace is also asking you to, but you have to kind of then establish that, okay, this brand is never on discount. You can choose to say that, okay, I will do my properties which are relevant to a particular audience, right? You then get exposed to that audience. The marketplace ads team or whoever your POC in the marketplace is, they can help you figure out segmented to only a certain set of customers. You don't need to be exposed to the entire set of customers because you're not relevant for all of them, right? So there is definitely a way to scale, and there are brands who have done that. Especially in the beauty segments, you don't see a lot of discount anyways. So it's not that you operate at 50, 60 levels of discounting. So it's easier to do it in a beauty segment, in fact, than in apparel.
Okay, great. So on that note, I just want to sort of thank and sort of summarize. So two things, the reason we did this session and we did on a Wednesday. So first, Praveen, you did it on a very short notice. So first, thank you for doing this. One of those things we want to sort of communicate very significantly is evaluating your business from the eyes of a marketplace person, right? Like, because Praveen is able to sort of give that visibility on how a marketplace is evaluating how they're listing brands, how they're sort of thinking from the growing their revenue. If you understand their objectives very clearly, you are able to sort of build your strategy alongside theirs. I hope after this session, you sort of get very clear ideas around, which marketplace you should be listing on, what products should you be listing on, and again, on what price points you should be sort of considering in those marketplaces, again, which you talked about the white caps, right? Having sort of you thought through about these questions, this coming Saturday, we'll have sort of a pre-watch, which is very focused on, okay, given you sort of, figure out your marketplace and your product and your price point, how do you win within that marketplace, both organically and within ads? There'll be sort of some pre-watch videos, which you want me to see, as well as we'll do a session, more deep dive after you've done those pre-watch. So make sure you do that. And on that note, I also want to sort of say thank you to Praveen, and Praveen, we do that in another way. We do that in a way which is nothing. We just turn on some music. So everyone, please turn on your videos. Number one, so Praveen will know all of us are here. And then secondly, unmute yourself when we put our hands in front. Praveen, you can join us. Okay. We do a countdown between 3, 2, 1, and then we end with voting. Okay. Ready? 3, 2, 1. 14. 14, everyone.